Why narcissists want so badly to see you die in agony. Have you ever wondered why some narcissists seem to take such deep satisfaction in your pain? Why they don't just want to hurt you, they want to see you crumble completely. Not just emotionally, not just temporarily, but utterly and irreversibly broken. It's not just about revenge. It's not just about control. There's something far more sinister at play. Something rooted in their deepest insecurities, their need for dominance, and their inability to handle rejection or loss of power. And if you've ever experienced this kind of hatred from a narcissist, this almost obsessive desire to see you suffer, you're not imagining it, you're not exaggerating, you're not being dramatic. What you felt was real, and what you feared might happen. That wasn't paranoia, it was intuition. In this video, we'll explore the shocking psychological truth behind why narcissists want so badly to see you die in agony. Not literally, but emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes even socially. We'll uncover the hidden motivations that drive their cruelty, the toxic mindset that fuels their hatred, and the dark satisfaction they get from watching you fall apart. You'll learn how narcissistic rage works, why losing control over you feels like personal destruction to them, and why your success, even after leaving them, fuels their darkest fantasies. This isn't about drama. This is about understanding the mind of someone who sees your happiness as a personal attack, your independence as betrayal, and your healing as a direct threat to everything they stand for. So if you're ready to understand the disturbing truth behind this behavior and protect yourself from falling into their trap again, keep watching, because knowledge is power. And once you understand why they want to see you suffer, you can finally stop letting them win. Let's begin. If you're here, it means you've either lived through the pain of being targeted by a narcissist, or you're trying to understand what drives such extreme behavior. Either way, you're not alone. Millions of people struggle with the aftermath of narcissistic abuse, and many of them don't realize just how deeply rooted this kind of hatred runs. Before we dive into the heart of this topic, let's take a moment to connect. If you found this content helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with others who might benefit from it. Awareness is the first step toward healing, and by spreading the word, you're helping others break free from cycles of emotional manipulation and destruction. Now let's start with the most unsettling truth. Narcissists don't just want to hurt you, they want to watch you suffer until the very end. To most people, emotional pain is something to avoid. Even those who act cruelly usually do so out of fear, insecurity, or trauma, not necessarily because they enjoy watching someone else suffer. But narcissists are different. For them, seeing you in pain isn't just satisfying, it's validating. Watching you struggle confirms that they still have power over you, even if you walked away years ago. Seeing you fail reassures them that they were right all along, that you weren't as strong as you thought, that you couldn't survive without them, that they were always the one in control. That's why they don't just lash out when you challenge them. They don't just punish you when you leave. They want to make sure you never recover. They want to be the last thing on your mind before you give up entirely. They want to know, beyond any doubt, that you were never stronger than them. Because to a narcissist, your suffering is proof that they won. Second, they view your existence as a constant reminder of their failure to control you. Narcissists build their entire identity around the idea that they are superior, admired, and untouchable. So when someone walks away, especially someone who once gave them attention, validation, or emotional fuel, it creates a wound that never truly heals. You were supposed to stay. You were supposed to admire them forever. You were supposed to keep feeding their ego, no matter what they did to you. And when you broke free, when you refused to be manipulated anymore, when you stopped giving them what they needed, you didn't just walk away. You exposed them. And nothing terrifies a narcissist more than exposure. Because beneath their mask of confidence lies a fragile, insecure person who knows deep down that their power only exists as long as people believe in it. So when you left, when you healed, when you moved on without them, they felt something deeper than anger. They felt humiliation, and narcissists do not forgive or forget humiliation. Third, your happiness is a direct insult to their self-worth. Most people feel happy when someone they care about finds peace, love, or success. But narcissists don't operate on normal human emotions. For them, your happiness doesn't bring joy, it brings rage. Because every time you smile, every time you thrive, every time you post a photo of your life improving without them, you send a message they can't tolerate. I'm fine. I'm better than fine. And I don't need you. That message cuts deeper than anything you could ever say directly. It strips them of their power. It invalidates their attempts to destroy you. And worst of all, it proves that you were never really under their control to begin with. So they try to undo it. They spread lies. They sabotage your relationships. They show up unexpectedly, trying to stir up old wounds. They push buttons, reopen scars, and do whatever they can to remind you that they're still lurking in the shadows. They don't want you to be sad. They want you to suffer, because only then will they feel like they've won. Fourth, they believe that destroying you is the only way to reclaim their sense of superiority. Narcissists live in a world where worth is measured by domination. If they can't manipulate you, if they can't make you feel small, if they can't make you beg for their approval, they lose something fundamental, their belief in their own power. And when that happens, they do what they always do. They double down. They search for ways to regain control. They look for weaknesses. They wait for moments of vulnerability. And when they find them, they strike, not out of love, not out of regret, but out of desperation. Because to them, your survival is an insult. Your independence is a threat. And your ability to move on without them is a direct challenge to their entire worldview. So they try to erase your strength. They try to rewrite your story. They try to make sure that the last thing you remember before everything falls apart is their name. Fifth, they envy you more than they'll ever admit. Despite everything they may have said while you were together, despite the insults, the gaslighting, the constant put-downs, they actually envied you. Not for your looks or your success, but for your resilience, for your ability to walk away, for your refusal to stay trapped in their world. Narcissists are emotionally fragile beings. They rely on external validation to feel whole. And when they see someone like you who stood tall, set boundaries, and built a life free of their influence, it shakes them. Because it reminds them of what they lack: true strength, real independence, emotional stability, and above all, genuine self-worth. So instead of admiring you, they hate you. Instead of respecting your growth, they try to tear it down. And instead of celebrating your freedom, they plot your downfall. Because for them, envy isn't admiration, it's warfare. Sixth, they blame you for their failures, even the ones you had nothing to do with. Narcissists cannot take responsibility, ever. So when things go wrong in their lives, when they lose jobs, when their new relationships fail, when their carefully curated image begins to crack, they look for someone to blame. And more often than not, that someone is you. Even if you haven't spoken in years, they'll tell themselves that everything went downhill the day you left, that you took something from them, that you ruined their chances, that you made them unstable. Of course, none of it is true, but in their minds, it's gospel. Because admitting fault would mean confronting their own flaws, and that's something they simply cannot do. So instead, they turn you into the reason for all their misfortunes. And once you become the source of their pain, they justify doing whatever it takes to make you pay. Seventh, they see your death or emotional breakdown as the ultimate form of closure. Unlike healthy individuals, narcissists don't process grief or loss in a natural way. They don't reflect, they don't heal, and they certainly don't apologize. Instead, they fixate, they replay every interaction, twist every memory, and rewrite history to suit their needs, and until they feel like they've won, they can't move on. So what does winning look like to a narcissist? It looks like you failing. It looks like you breaking down. It looks like you reaching out in desperation, begging for help, crying over the life you lost since walking away. Some narcissists even fantasize about your literal death, not because they're violent, but because they believe that only then will they be free from the lingering presence you've had in their minds. Because for them, Closure doesn't come from healing. It comes from finality, from knowing that you will never rise above them, that you will never prove them wrong, that you will never escape their influence, not even in death. Eighth, they project their own inner torment onto you. Deep inside, narcissists are full of pain, loneliness, fear, shame, regret, all buried beneath layers of arrogance and manipulation. But they refuse to face it. Instead, they displace it. They dump it onto the people closest to them, the ones who saw through their mask, the ones who challenged them, the ones who escaped. That's why they want to see you suffer, because your suffering distracts them from their own. It makes them feel less alone. It gives them a twisted sense of relief to know that someone else is hurting too. It's not about you. It's about them, about their need to feel powerful, about their need to silence the internal chaos they can't control. Ninth, they want to be remembered, even if it's through your pain. Narcissists crave legacy. They want to be remembered. They want to know that their presence left a mark. But if they can't be loved, if they can't be missed, if they can't be admired, they settle for something darker, being feared. They want to know that you think about them constantly, that you carry their words with you, that every time you cry it's because of something they said or did. They want to be the reason you hesitate, the reason you second-guess yourself, the reason you still feel trapped even though you got away. Because for them, being hated is better than being forgotten. 10th, they need to believe that they were always the stronger one. At the very heart of every narcissist's obsession with your suffering lies a truth they will never admit out loud, one that is deeply buried beneath layers of arrogance, manipulation, and control. That truth is this: they don't believe they are strong enough to survive on their own. They don't trust their own worth. They don't feel secure in who they are without having someone else to dominate, manipulate, or destroy. That's why your downfall matters so much to them. It's not just about revenge or spite. It's about proving something to themselves more than anyone else. They need to see you fall apart, to hear that you're struggling, to know that you still carry the weight of their words and actions. Because as long as you suffer, as long as you remain emotionally tied to them in any way, they can convince themselves that they were always the stronger one. They want to believe that you never really escaped them, that your freedom was an illusion, that your independence was temporary, and that your strength was never real to begin with. Every sign of pain from you becomes proof that they still have power over you, even from a distance. Every moment of weakness you show is twisted into confirmation that they were right all along, that you needed them, that you couldn't make it without them, that you were never truly free. To them, your pain isn't just satisfying, it's necessary. It becomes their victory. Your emotional collapse, your moments of doubt, your setbacks, they all serve as evidence that they were never really beaten, that you didn't walk away from a loser. You walked away from a winner, and if you end up broken, then maybe, just maybe, they weren't the fragile ones after all. This mindset doesn't come from confidence. It comes from fear. Deep, unshakable fear. The kind of fear that tells them they aren't enough on their own, that without someone else to compare themselves to, without someone weaker to look down on, they are nothing. So they hold on to the hope, no matter how dark, that you will fail, that you will break, that you will reach a point where you feel exactly what they feel inside, lost, alone, and desperate for control. Because only then can they tell themselves that they were never the weak ones. Only then can they silence the voice inside that whispers, "You're not as strong as you pretend to be." And that's why they watch, why they listen, why they search for signs that you're not doing as well as you seem, because your success terrifies them, your healing threatens them, and your ability to move forward without them shakes the very foundation of their identity. But if you do fall, if you struggle, if you falter, if you cry over what they did, they breathe a little easier, because now they've proven what they needed to believe all along, that they were never the ones who were weak. You, even though none of it is true, even though you are stronger than they will ever be, they cling to this belief like a lifeline, because without it, they have nothing left. Without it, they have to face the unbearable reality that they were never in control, that their power was always an illusion, and that your strength was real all along. So if you've found yourself recognizing any of the truths we've discussed in your own life, take a moment to truly let that sink in, because it means something powerful. You are not alone. What you experienced was not a random misfortune, nor was it a reflection of your weakness or failure. You were never chosen by the narcissist in your life because you were an easy target or because there was something wrong with you. On the contrary, you were chosen precisely because you had something real, something valuable, something they could never create for themselves. Whether it was your strength, your empathy, your resilience, or your ability to see through manipulation, you brought something into their world that they deeply needed, even if they never acknowledged it. And while they may have tried to diminish you, criticize you, or make you feel small, the truth remains unchanged. Your presence in their life was not accidental. It was significant. And now, after everything, you have the chance to reclaim that strength and use it for yourself, not for them, not for anyone else, but for your healing and growth. The lessons you've learned, the boundaries you've built, and the awareness you've gained are not things to be discarded or forgotten. They are tools, powerful ones, that can help you move forward with clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of who you truly are. Healing from narcissistic abuse doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending it never happened. That would be impossible, and honestly, unnecessary. What happened to you shaped you, but it does not define you. Healing means facing what you went through with honesty and courage. It means understanding that the abuse was not your fault, that their behavior was never about you, and that your worth was never tied to their approval or validation. It means reclaiming your personal power, something they tried so hard to take from you. It means setting new boundaries, learning to trust yourself again, and refusing to let the pain of the past dictate who you become moving forward. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are simply human, recovering from an experience that left deep wounds, because it was designed to. Narcissistic abuse is not something people walk away from unscathed, and anyone who tells you otherwise has never lived through it. You carry scars, yes, but those scars are not weaknesses. They are signs of survival, proof that you faced something dark and came out the other side. And while the pain may never fully disappear, it will change shape over time. It will stop defining you and start reminding you of how far you've come. So, if you've recognized any of these truths in your own life, in your own story, know this: you are not alone. You were never chosen by the narcissist in your life because you were weak. You were chosen because you had something real, something valuable, something they needed. Whether it was your empathy, your strength, your stability, or your love, you brought something into their world that they could never create for themselves. But now, you have the chance to take that strength and use it for yourself, for your healing, for your growth, and for the life you deserve to live. A life free from manipulation, free from control, and free from the need to justify your worth to anyone. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this message meaningful or helpful, please consider taking just a few seconds to like, subscribe, and share this content with others who may be going through something similar. Awareness is the first step toward healing, and by spreading the word, you're helping others break free from cycles of emotional abuse and manipulation. Once again, I want to remind you to stay strong, stay aware, and most importantly, remember this truth: you are not alone. There is an entire community of people who understand what you've been through, who have walked this path before you, and who are rooting for your healing and growth. Keep moving forward, trust your instincts, and never forget that your strength is real, and it belongs to you now, fully and completely.